welcome to our Wednesday Flash Briefing. I'm Brianne Ika. I'm the co-founder and CSO at Workman Success Systems, and I'm so excited to be here today and taking over for Verl for this week. I am really excited to announce our guest that we have with us. This is Shannon Williams. She is the VP of Sales and Marketing with Boomtown. She's been with them about 3 years, and she has a serious passion for giving back and mentorship. And with this being the mentorship month, she's so excited to share some of the things that she's doing and that she has done with that in the past, and just to really share with us. So some of her previous leadership roles include sales and marketing leader at Amazon, the director of marketing and sales at enablement at Blackbaud, vice president at marketing analytics, and senior director of strategy marketing for Lennar. So we are so excited that she's here. She's a champion of philanthropic endeavors like Operation Home for the last 6 years, and she loves doing sprint triathlons and any activity that challenges the comfort zone. So please welcome our awesome Shannon Williams. And as you're jumping on, please let us know where you're from and say hi in the comments. So Shannon, tell us a little bit about kind of where you started in the business and where you are now.
Absolutely. So started in more of an analytical fashion on the marketing side, doing a lot of different research and studies for revenue forecasting for Fortune 100 companies. So got introduced to a lot of different businesses and business models. Some were real estate, some were financial and banking, pharmaceutical, technology, automobile. So that was a really great out of college introduction into the business world, and then made my way into home building and worked for both Syntex, which is now Pulte, and Lennar, and really enjoyed learning more about the home building industry and the real estate industry. I was fortunate enough to take on some new home sales teams across the coastal Carolinas and the Southeast region. And then took a little break with my daughter. I have an 11-year-old daughter. And when I re-entered the workforce, went back into technology because it was just something that was really interesting to me. And I'm a person of curiosity. And so I married real estate and technology, and that has led me to Boomtown after a couple other different technology stints, like you said, at Amazon and Blackbaud. So that's kind of my career in a nutshell, and how I came to be at Boomtown.
Awesome. I love it. So give me kind of a snapshot of what exactly you do and what your position is at Boomtown. What do you do for them?
Absolutely. So I think you noted I'm the vice president of sales and marketing at Boomtown, and beyond there, I lead across organization strategy to deliver Boomtown's brand and increase adoption of our product and services. So real estate agents are, so much into marketing and sales. I get to do that, but on behalf of a technology company. And there I do lead a team of about 90 boomers who all share my passion for Boomtown's mission of making real estate agents more successful. So really, again, Boomtown's given me that opportunity to kind of marry that technology aspect with the real estate and the home building background.
Awesome. Very cool. So talk to me a little bit about your mentor relationships and what that looks like. You're really passionate about that and what that is. So what do you do with that? How does that work for you?
Absolutely. So I love mentorship and any opportunity, whether it's internal, people from other parts of the organization at Boomtown or in past careers, as well as just people that introduce themselves to me. And, for me, mentorship is you learn so much more, from exposure to people with experience. And it's not just about the connections and the networks, but also as the mentor, you learn so much from the mentee. I think, so many times in my life over the last 25 years of my career, I've seen that those relationships come back tenfold when I spend the time to actually get to know someone and help them kind of nurture their career or just their professional life in general. It really does help longer term when you see them kind of like fly the nest, I guess you will, and see the success that they move into. And it's great just to have like someone to bounce ideas off of and talk through strategy, through execution, through how to, people that need advice on career changes or the go for it, which is, the lean in sometimes of like, they just need someone to say, take the chance, you've got this, you know what you're doing. what could go wrong kind of thing. So I've really enjoyed mentorship, and it's a passion of mine. Leading larger organization teams, always wanting to cultivate top talent and export top talent. I think that like mentorship is just a natural part of my passion to grow individuals.
That's awesome. That's such a great gift that you have to be able to do that mentoring. So have you had mentors in your life and throughout your career that have really helped you? And are there any that really stand out to you?
I do, and interestingly enough, they are men, like males. And I have one female mentor who I consistently stay in touch with, who came from more of the technology background and who nurtured me when I was making that shift as a new mom and really was struggling with how to juggle everything and figure out the career imbalance with like being a mom, and just needed somebody to bounce, emotionally bounce ideas off of, but also keep me kind of focused on my career, because that's what gives me satisfaction. But I've had two male mentors who have been tremendously valuable to me, and I think my advice to anyone would be to make the most of those mentorships. So have agendas, have things that that you want advice on. Don't just show up empty-handed. Really use it as an opportunity to seek advice, but very pointed and directed advice. It's nice to build that relationship, but I think the more that you can put into like really structuring things that you want to know, and ideas that you want to learn more about, and situational things that you would like more insights on, that's where the mentors can really add value.
I love that. So you mentioned something when you were coming back into the workforce and with your daughter. So what advice would you give other women that are in a similar situation?
Yes, I give yourself grace. I think it's, especially in this pandemic, we've all learned how difficult juggling can be. But grace and space, and be honest with yourself. At the end of the day, if you're not getting the sleep that you need and pulling yourself in too many directions, you're not going to be really worthwhile to anyone, whether it's to work or to your family, because you're trying to do too much. And so that just erodes you as a person, and what you can succeed at doing. So set boundaries, ask for help, take people up on the help they offer. I know as females, it's a lot harder to do that, I hear. But don't be afraid to ask for help, and be honest with yourself of what you can take on, and set those boundaries.
So how have you been successful at setting some of those boundaries? One of the things that Verl always says is be where you are. And so wherever you are, be present. And it was really easy before all of the pandemic to, when I'm at work, I'm at work. And when I'm home, I'm at home. And with everything else that's going on with my three little tiny monsters running around all over the place, it's really hard to be present at home when I'm supposed to be working and not talking to them and having fun with them, because that's really what I want to be doing. And so how do you separate that and keep those boundaries? What's worked well for you?
That's a lot of trial and error, I will tell you, Brian. I only have one little monster, but it is a lot of trial and error over the past. Before my daughter was born, I worked all the time. It was my passion was to work, and then when you introduce that motherhood component, and then have to give so much of yourself to being a parent, it is a lot of juggling, and you have to set those boundaries. So what I find works well pre-pandemic is to shut it off. The phone has made it a lot harder over the years to shut things off, but find that time where you dedicate a block of time to your family life. And so for me, that is, when I leave the office, or now walk out of my living room, in my office, shutting that down, and then finding a couple hours to really dedicate to my family, and then getting back online if needed, later that evening to check in, make sure I finish up any work that I didn't get done. But at least then I feel like I'm contributing to the business, that the role in the job that I have, and contribute there, but also make sure that like I'm a happier person overall, because I don't feel like I'm sacrificing anything at home.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great advice. Thank you. Okay, so as a female leader, what would you have told your younger self? Or what would you tell your younger self?
Well, yeah, Brian, this one's funny because we've been kind of talking about how to set boundaries, but I would tell my younger self to take more chances, early on, and be more curious. to learn and explore things that you may not think either you're a fit for or that you know the answers to. And when given an opportunity, say yes, figure out what it's going to take. I think to Verl's recommendation, like be present. But in order to be present, you have to take those opportunities when they present themselves. And then just to be agile and sometimes just, you know that you can go with it and you don't have to have a map or a plan put in place till the, A to Z. You can have from, A to M and know that you're going to learn and get there in the end. But just going for it, I think, is the other piece. And then we hit on this earlier, and given that this topic is around mentorship for me, I would say as a younger leader, I would tell myself to start mentoring early. I felt like, 10, 15 years of experience to really feel like I had something to offer mentees, and that really wasn't the case. So I wish I had started a little bit younger, because those relationships have really blossomed into very meaningful career and personal relationships.
That's awesome. So how would you tell someone to, if they want to get into mentoring, where do they go? How do they get into something that where they feel like they can do that and have that impact?
Absolutely. I think it's a little more simple than sometimes we think about. There are networks, networking groups, and obviously LinkedIn is a great place to start some of those opportunities and just reaching out. But really, as you tell people that you're interested in mentoring others, that word gets out really quickly. And a lot of times it's just, a matter of those connection points in the network with which you operate within, whether it's just female organizations or diverse organizations or real estate organizations, technology. There's so many different groups that are out there. And the hard part is typically once it's out there saying, having to say no to some people, just given the time commitment that, you can't mentor everyone.
Right. Awesome. So how have you navigated through being the only one at the table, being the minority voice or the only woman? For example, when you worked in construction?
Oh, that's a great question, and one that I get a lot, but and I'm sure you do as well. But getting here took many sacrifices, and I really didn't do it alone. When I talk about the mentors that I've had in my life, I've had help from many men and women leaders, friends, mentors, sponsors, teams. And the construction and home building industry was heavily dominated by men, as you could expect. So many times I was the only female at the table, or the only one on the email string or in the conversation. And I had 9 division presidents, all but men except for one. And so, that coupled with then moving into the technology sector, where there's a little bit more diversity, but still a gap at the leadership level, has been a challenge. Absolutely. But what I've learned is to speak up, share my perspective and share the perspective of others, a unique voice, because there is a reason that I was chosen to be in that role and put in that role and asked to sit at the table. So, just believing and being confident in why you're there. And then I am a believer in really fact-based recommendations. And so I typically look to information and facts to help back a lot of the cases in which I speak upon or, offer my opinion on. And that helped me early on build confidence for being the only female at the table, because that data was really what I needed to be able to hold that seat and begin sharing my ideas and insights without them just being thought of as like a random idea. So for me, after 20 years, I've learned to be very selective also in choosing the right role in the right company for me. So one with a strong supportive culture, one with diverse executive team and a diverse employee base has really been critical.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that confidence is a really big thing. I think that if you're not confident and you don't show that you add value and that you have the research to back up whatever it is that you're presenting on, you lose those seats at the table. And that's something
Absolutely.
that not only as a female in leadership, but also I'm a lot younger than a lot of the people that are here in the company. And so it's something that I've had to work really hard at making sure I have everything to back myself up, right?
Yes,
And so
absolutely. It's the confidence that you talk about, and that's a really hard skill to learn. But the books that are out there, like Lena and I read at a younger age, and it was kind of the other side of swung far to the other side, but It really is true. Like there's a reason that you are in the role that you're in, and that your perspective is welcome. And I think sometimes we forget that, and we put this narrative in our head that maybe we don't belong there, maybe we're not as qualified, but really we wouldn't be in the roles that we're in if we weren't, and we didn't have a perspective that was, looked to, that was wanted as a contribution.
Yep, I totally agree with you. So with, and it's a hard place to be. Sometimes it's really intimidating to be the only female at that table. And with me, a lot of times it's my dad and my brothers, and I'm the oldest of them. And it's sometimes I have to remind them, I know what I'm doing and there's a reason that I'm here. And so if you're having challenges with that or struggling with it, just having that confidence and the ability to speak up, there's a reason that they want you in that room. And women tend to have such a different outlook than what men do. And I think that there's so many things that can be shared that sometimes we just kind of quiet down. And so we've got to be more powerful with that. I love that. So
I also think,
oh,
think that preparing ahead of time, like if you know that you're going into a really big, important meeting, and that you are the only kind of voice, whether it's diversity for gender, race, whatever that might be, or your background and your experience, maybe, to your point, you're younger, so you don't have as much experience. I think really understanding who's in the room and preparing ahead of time goes a long way. So being present, to Verl's point, but also being prepared.
yeah, absolutely. So with that, with the gender and social justice issues rising to the top right now, how have you handled any difficult or uncomfortable conversations so far? And have you managed through it?
Oh, good question. That's a very hot topic right now, as everyone's aware. And, I'm a believer of the fact that it's going to take all of us to start simply to close that gap. It doesn't, not going to be a flip of a switch. It's a gradual progression. But I do think that, it's not just a woman or a race problem. It's up to all of us to work together to create a better future. And my advice would be to get comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations. They really do force us to listen and to learn. When we talk about perspective, especially on diversity and being the only one, it's that inclusion. And the only way that we're going to understand it is to get comfortable with that uncomfortable conversation. And it's okay to, not know someone's perspective, but use that as an opportunity to ask questions and to learn. And then use that to get involved, educate yourself based off of what you've learned and listened, and then figure out how to continue that conversation moving forward to change and drive policy. So I think, we need to push for change, but we have to understand, we need to be empathetic, and we need to work together. We have a lot more work to do as leaders, regardless of race or gender. So getting comfortable with that uncomfortable can extend to so many different use cases. I think when we talk about like salary negotiations, that's an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people, but the more that you can get comfortable with it, the better you're going to do. The Black Lives Matter and social injustice issues that we're facing that have surfaced, getting comfortable with those uncomfortable conversations. Just start the conversation and listen and learn.
So is that your advice on getting comfortable with those, just starting those conversations?
It is. And I say, when I say start, I'd say just by asking, probing questions just to understand, like, don't come with a formed opinion. If you truly are curious and want to understand the situation at hand, just get people's perspective by starting the conversation and being okay with starting that uncomfortable asking a question about an uncomfortable topic. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about Operation Home. And so first of all, tell me about the organization.
Absolutely. So Operation Home is a local nonprofit here in Charleston, South Carolina. And they really help people remain in their homes by increasing safety and accessibility through critical home repairs. So a lot of roof repairs and wheelchair ramps, and then heat and cold relief programs. So I think this year more than ever, we've all understood like how critical it is to feel safe in your home. And like, I don't know about you, but I work from home nowadays. So feeling really safe in your current environment, being your home, is important. And so Operation Home does critical home repairs and accessibility for people who are on like a fixed income of less than $1,100 a month. And so to be able to go and do an entire roof or build a wheelchair ramp would really set them back. So it's a program and nonprofits in place to help deliver that safety to those folks.
Very cool. I love that. So what has drawn you to work with them over the last few years?
That's a good question. I started by just doing a ramp build as a volunteer and saw the impact that it made to not only the woman who was wheelchair bound, but also her family. She had her daughter and her son who are in their 40s and 50s who were spending the majority of their time and their schedules, coordinating around when she needed to get in and out of the house. And so we talk about like the freedom and like you're giving someone freedom to be able to get out of their home without someone having to carry them down the stairs unsafely, or tripping and falling in a hole on their floor.
Wow.
And so for me, it was seeing that impact, the immediate impact, so local and so like hyper local that, a whole family, not just the person in need, but their whole family could benefit from. So got involved with it about 6-7 years ago and now serve as the board chair. It's just a great organization, and it closely relates to the real estate industry. Again, home is so important to all of us, and so wanted to find a way to give back.
That's awesome. I love that. Do you have any idea how many families you serve doing that every
I
year?
do. As the board chair, I have to know those things.
So
Absolutely. So, yeah. So last year, we were able to serve 350 families
wow.
locally, and a little bit lower than our goal, but a year-over-year increase from the prior year. But COVID made it a little bit harder to organize some volunteer groups for us, to build ramp chairs. A lot of corporate sponsors that typically would be out there, just it wasn't the best safety approach. So we've been able to deliver, still 350 families served, which is tremendous here in the Tri-County area, and goes a long way.
That is so cool. I love that. What would you tell people that are interested in getting involved in charity? Sometimes it seems like such a daunting task. So what would you tell anybody that's interested in doing something?
No, just start simple. Like find small ways that you can give back, and that could be time. It doesn't always have to be monetarily. Anything that you can do to support. Time is money, and so when you can volunteer to do anything, it's the participation and just you'll find the right thing. You might have to try a few different organizations like I did before you find the right fit for really where your passion lies. But when you find it, you'll know, and just start somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. So what is a fear that you've experienced but have worked through to overcome?
So I will share. I think you mentioned earlier about triathlons, and this one's not work related, but anytime there's fear, I think it does challenge us out of our comfort zone. And so I was getting ready to experience a milestone birthday several years ago, and had a pretty significant fear of swimming, and had never really learned to swim. And so I told myself, at the ripe age of 40, I would figure out a way to do that. So I signed up for a triathlon. I started with a sprint, and for me, it was just more about like putting myself up against it, giving myself a goal, and then working backwards from there, finding the right training program, and really, compartmentalizing into breaking it down into smaller achievements and accomplishments. And so I think you can apply that lesson, to the business world, to your personal life. But set the goal and then work backwards from there, and just don't be afraid. And so for me, now I've been able to finish a couple Olympic distance triathlons, and I don't think I would have been able to do that had I not started simple.
Good for you. That's so awesome. I don't know if triathlon is in my running hurts every part of my whole body, but maybe someday we'll think about it. Very cool though. That's awesome. So are you guys working on any special projects right now?
Oh, always. Absolutely. That's, special projects, the continuous learning and continuous evolution, especially with a technology company. So I'd say we're always trying to figure out a way to deliver on our mission, to make real estate agents more successful. So we recently launched a direct integration partnership with Sisu. And we're bringing more capabilities to our concierge services, which is success assurance. What else? We've had tremendous success with a self-serve advertising platform, Marketing Central, that we launched. So we're continuing to do more around enhancing that as well, to make it easier for our agents to advertise. But again, that's our North Star, is really making agents more successful. So I'd say outside of that, this year I think coming into 2021, we hear a lot of the experts forecasting this to be a great year with double-digit growth in the home sales. And so with Redfin, I just read an article from them, and then chief economist from NAR. I think the housing market is going to continue to be hot. And so what we're trying to figure out is how to help our clients go and capture more market share, and, making sure that they're getting their piece of that. And so for us, it's like, doing more for them, whether it's through the technology or the services that we offer.
Awesome. I love that. I just got off the phone with your team talking about Sisu. So I'm so excited with what's going on there. It's awesome. So what do you want people to know about Boomtown?
Oh, our mission is to, make you more successful. And we do that through the technology and the services that we deliver through the CRM, lead generation, lead qualification, from start to finish. And so we just want to be your partner in success. And, with most of our agents, we have 40% of the top 250 teams from what used to be Real Trends. Know that they just went through a transition, but we are proud to serve and partner with the clients that we have, and our success is only due to their success.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time and all of your thoughts. And thanks everyone for joining us and coming to hang out.
Thanks, Brianne. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye.
If you are ready to level up your real estate business, set up a coaching consultation by sending an email to coach@workmansuccess.com. That's coach@workmansuccess.com.